Dubai beckons as Eala steps into the spotlight of the women's tour. Eala enters the 2026 Dubai Tennis Championships not as a hopeful qualifier, but as a main draw contender ready to test her rising game against the sport's elite. Originally listed for qualifying, the Filipina star secured a coveted spot in the 56-player field of the WTA 1000 event that begins Sunday, marking another milestone in her fast-evolving career. Ranked world number 40, Eala continues to solidify her presence at the highest tier of women's tennis. Dubai will be her second straight WTA 1000 appearance this season following her campaign at the Qatar Open, where she bowed out in the round of 64 despite the early exit. The stint in Doha provided valuable match reps against top-level competition, exactly the kind of sharpening she needs ahead of another stacked field in the United Arab Emirates. The Middle East swing has already been a productive stretch for Eala. She reached the quarterfinals of the Abu Dhabi Open earlier this month, showcasing improved shot selection, steadier baseline exchanges, and growing confidence in clutch moments. Now on her third Middle East stop this season and sixth tournament overall in 2026, Eala appears to be finding rhythm in one of the most demanding early-season circuits on the calendar. Dubai, however, presents a different level of challenge. The draw features world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, Australian Open champion Elena Rybakina, defending champion Mira Andreeva, former world number 1 Iga Swiatek, and U.S. Open champion Coco Gauff, a lineup that underscores the tournament's stature as one of the premier hardcourt battlegrounds outside the Grand Slams. For Eala, the opportunity is as significant as the opposition is formidable. Each WTA 1000 main draw appearance accelerates her exposure to elite match tempo, power baseliners, and tactical complexity. More importantly, it reinforces her standing not merely as a breakthrough story from the Philippines, but as a legitimate competitor in the global top 50 landscape. Dubai could be the platform where Eala turns promise into statement. With lessons learned from Doha and confidence carried over from Abu Dhabi, she arrives not just aiming to participate, but to contend. Dubai beckons. Eala steps into the spotlight of the women's tour. The desert does not whisper. It shimmers, it dazzles, it declares itself in heat and light. And in February, when the tennis world gathers beneath the crystalline skyline of Dubai, the desert becomes a stage. The wind sweeps in from the Gulf, warm and restless, carrying with it the promise of transformation. For Eala, that promise feels personal. Dubai has always been a city of arrival. Skyscrapers rise where once there was only sand. Islands bloom from the sea. Dreams, audacious and improbable, are drafted in steel and glass. It is a fitting setting for a young player stepping into the bright, exacting spotlight of the women's tour. A place where ambition is not merely welcomed but expected. Eala arrives not as a wide-eyed tourist but as a competitor forged in long practice sessions and longer flights. Her story begins far from the Arabian Peninsula, in the humid courts of the Philippines, where tennis is played beneath a different sun. There, the air is thick and salt-tinged, and the game is learned with sweat stinging the eyes. From those early mornings, racket in hand, she carried a quiet certainty that her path would stretch far beyond the baseline she could see. Dubai is another chapter in that journey. The tournament grounds hum with languages from every corner of the globe. Coaches murmur strategy. Ball kids dart like swallows across the court. The stands shimmer with sunglasses and anticipation. Above it all, the Burj Khalifa pierces the sky, an emblem of ascent. For a young player stepping deeper into the women's tour, the symbolism is impossible to ignore. Eala moves through the player tunnel with a calm that belies her years. There is music in her headphones, but it is not loud enough to drown out the rhythm of her thoughts. She has always been a student of the game, measured, analytical, unafraid of long rallies. On court, her left-handed strokes carve angles that surprise opponents. Her backhand, compact and clean, travels low over the net before kicking up with intent. She does not rely solely on power. She constructs points the way architects in Dubai design towers, patiently, with vision. Yet talent alone does not command the spotlight. The women's tour is a landscape of relentless precision. Every opponent is seasoned, every match a test of nerve. Rankings tell one story, belief tells another. Under the floodlights, the hard courts in Dubai glow a deep, resolute blue. The surface rewards boldness but punishes hesitation. It demands that players commit, to the serve tossed high into the desert air, to the forehand struck without doubt. For Alex, commitment has never been the problem. The challenge is timing, knowing when to unleash, when to absorb, when to shift the tempo. Her first steps onto the match court are met with applause that is curious and warm. Some in the crowd know her junior triumphs, the early signs of a player unafraid of grand stages. Others are seeing her for the first time, drawn by the promise of a new face in a sport that thrives on renewal. Across the net stands experience, perhaps a seasoned player, perhaps a veteran with years etched into her serve. The warm-up is brisk. Balls crack against strings. Shoes squeak against acrylic. Above, the sky is a fading watercolor, surrendering to night. The opening game is tight. Alex's serve, left-handed and slicing wide, pulls her opponent off the court. The return comes back deep, probing. A rally unfolds, cross-court, down the line. It is a conversation in motion, a testing of boundaries. When the point ends, whether in her favor or not, Alex's face reveals little. She turns, walks to the baseline, resets. This is what stepping into the spotlight means. It is not a sudden blaze of glory but a series of small decisions under scrutiny. It is trusting the hours spent refining footwork, the repetition of drills until muscle memory overrides doubt. It is accepting that every match on the women's tour carries weight, not only for ranking points, but for identity. Between games, she glances briefly at her box. There is a nod from her coach, a reminder of patterns discussed in quiet corners of practice courts. Aim higher on the second serve. Attack the short ball. Breathe. The desert wind picks up, swirling unpredictably. In Dubai, even the elements can test resolve. Tosses drift. Timing falters. Adaptation becomes survival. Alex adjusts her stance, shortens her backswing, leans into the challenge. The scoreboard ticks forward, indifferent and exact. What distinguishes a player in these moments is not perfection but resilience. The women's tour has seen prodigies flicker and fade, and others rise steadily, building careers on grit. Alex's journey suggests the latter. She does not chase applause, she chases improvement. Each game is an opportunity to sharpen, to learn the subtle grammar of elite competition. Midway through the match, a rally stretches beyond 20 shots. The crowd senses its significance and quiets. Backhand to backhand, the exchange is relentless. Alex changes direction first, threading a forehand down the line. Her opponent scrambles, floats a defensive lob. The overhead is there, an invitation. She strikes, decisive. The ball lands inside the line. The applause swells, no longer merely curious but appreciative. I end that.